As the sun began to set, a group of friends set out on a hiking adventure in the dense forest. Little did they know, they were about to encounter 39 horrifying and unimaginable terrors along the way. 1. The group heard rustling in the bushes, but when they turned around, there was nothing there. They could feel eyes watching them from the shadows. 2. A sudden chill ran down their spines as they heard eerie whispers in the wind, warning them to turn back before it was too late. 3. One of the friends stumbled upon a strange, ancient-looking mask hanging from a tree branch. As soon as they picked it up, a sense of dread washed over them. 4. They came across a clearing in the forest, only to find strange symbols carved into the trees and the ground. Something dark and malevolent seemed to be lurking nearby. 5. A sudden fog descended upon the forest, making it nearly impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. Shadows danced in the mist, creating an atmosphere of unease. 6. A deafening scream pierced the silence of the forest, sending shivers down their spines. It was a sound unlike anything they had ever heard before. 7. They stumbled upon a dilapidated cabin, its windows boarded up and a sense of foreboding emanating from within. As they approached, the sound of scratching and scuttling could be heard from inside. 8. The group found themselves surrounded by a pack of feral wolves, their eyes glinting with hunger. They could sense the primal rage and desperation emanating from the beasts. 9. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they came across a twisted, gnarled tree that seemed to be pulsating with a sinister energy. The air around it felt heavy and oppressive. 10. A sudden gust of wind blew through the trees, carrying with it the faint scent of decay and rot. It was as if the forest itself was alive and breathing. 11. They heard the sound of children laughing in the distance, but when they followed the sound, they found themselves in a deserted playground, the swings moving back and forth on their own. 12. Shadows seemed to move on their own, flitting in and out of sight as if taunting the group. Whispers followed them wherever they went, filling their minds with fear and doubt. 13. A sudden flash of lightning illuminated the forest, revealing a figure standing in the distance. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, sending the group running in terror. 14. They stumbled upon a river running red with blood, its surface churning with unseen forces. The air was heavy with the stench of death and decay. 15. The group came across a clearing filled with strange, twisted figures hanging from the trees. It was as if the forest itself was a macabre art gallery of horrors. 16. They found themselves trapped in a maze of thorns and brambles, the walls closing in around them as if the forest itself was conspiring to keep them there forever. 17. A sudden darkness descended upon the forest, blotting out the moon and stars. The only sound was the group's ragged breathing as they stumbled blindly through the night. 18. They heard the sound of a haunting melody playing in the distance, drawing them closer and closer to its source. It was a tune of sorrow and despair that seemed to echo through the trees. 19. In the distance, they saw a figure standing at the edge of a cliff, its form shrouded in mist and shadow. It seemed to be beckoning them closer, its intentions unclear. 20. A sudden sense of vertigo overtook them as they realized they were walking on a narrow path, high above a ravine. The ground below seemed to pulse and writhe with unseen horrors. 21. They stumbled upon a circle of stones arranged in a pattern that seemed to pulse with dark energy. It was as if the very earth itself was alive and aware of their presence. 22. Strange symbols began to appear on their skin, glowing faintly in the darkness. It was as if the forest itself was marking them as its own. 23. They heard the sound of a mournful wailing in the distance, the cries of something in pain and suffering. It sent a chill down their spines as they realized they were not alone in the forest. 24. A sudden sense of paranoia overtook them as they realized that they had been walking in circles, the trees shifting and changing around them. It was as if the forest itself was toying with them. 25. They came across a field of withered flowers, their petals blackened and decayed. It was a stark reminder of the fragility and impermanence of life. 26. A sudden feeling of being watched over them as they realized they were surrounded by a circle of shadowy figures, their eyes gleaming with malice. 27. They heard the sound of whispers in the wind, telling them of unspeakable horrors that lay ahead. It was as if the very forest itself was warning them of the dangers to come. 28. A sudden sense of claustrophobia overtook them as they realized that they were trapped in a narrow canyon with no way out. The walls seemed to close in around them, suffocating and oppressive. 29. They stumbled upon a cave filled with strange symbols and markings, the walls slick with an unknown substance. It was as if they had entered a hidden chamber of unspeakable secrets. 30. A sudden sense of vertigo overtook them as they realized they were walking on a narrow bridge, high above a chasm. The abyss below seemed to stretch into infinity, swallowing all light and sound. 31. They heard the sound of footsteps echoing through the forest, getting closer and closer with each passing moment. It was as if something was hunting them, stalking them through the darkness. 32. A sudden sense of dread washed over them as they realized they were being followed by a shadowy figure, its form shifting and changing with each step. It was as if they were being pursued by something otherworldly. 33. They stumbled upon a field of shattered mirrors, their surfaces cracked and distorted. It was as if the very fabric of reality itself was tearing apart around them. 34. A sudden sense of despair overtook them as they realized they were lost in a labyrinth of twisted paths and corridors. The walls seemed to shift and change, leading them further and further into darkness. 35. They heard the sound of a haunting melody playing in the distance, drawing them closer and closer to its source. It was a tune of longing and sorrow that seemed to echo through the trees. 36. In the distance, they saw a figure standing at the edge of a cliff, its form shrouded in mist and shadow. It seemed to be beckoning them closer, its intentions unclear. 37. A sudden sense of vertigo overtook them as they realized they were walking on a narrow path, high above a ravine. The ground below seemed to pulse and writhe with unseen horrors. 38. They stumbled upon a circle of stones arranged in a pattern that seemed to pulse with dark energy. It was as if the very earth itself was alive and aware of their presence. 39. As the group finally emerged from the forest, they realized that they had been trapped in a nightmare of their own making. The horrors they had encountered along the way had left a lasting mark on their souls, a reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that lurks just beyond the edge of reality.